Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes on this fine Sunday morning. Some of the more astute of you may have noticed a very slight change to my appearance. I wonder what it could be. There is a journalist by the name of Richard Walker, but he's also a failed SNP candidate. He stood and he lost, and he's basically disappeared back into the ether in terms of political nothingness. But he's had a little, I suppose, a little go at England, a little stomp, a little cry, salty tears. He's claimed that Scots are going without things. He's saying that Scots are having to go without things because England are having to go without them. And for some reason, when England goes without something, Scotland has to go without them as well, even though they're two separate systems. So when they cut something in England, it seems that the SNP feel obliged to cut them in Scotland as well because funding or something. He seems to be blaming Westminster and England on all the ills of Scotland, and it's just clearly rubbish. He's saying, though, that Labour is dangerous. He's saying it's Labour's to blame for all the cuts in Scotland. Labour's been in power 51 days. The cuts that were announced really and predominantly back last December, a long way before Labour come to power. It's just subsequently, with all the cuts Labour are going to make, yes, sure, it's going to be terrible in England. But for example, the winter fuel allowance, that's got nothing to do with the Labour government at Westminster. The SNP made that decision. They could have done other things to keep it, but chose not to. And so Richard Walker really doesn't have a grasp on reality, it seems. He tried to become an MP. He tried to become an MSP. Both failed attempts. But he's saying that even though he's got, never actually been a politician, he's saying he's got a full understanding of why Scotland is failing. His words, not mine. And he's saying it's all due to Westminster not, stopping the cuts. Westminster have just given Scotland last year the biggest amount of money the Barnett formula has ever seen. So he's talking a load of old rubbish, talking literally out of his sporran, isn't he? But he says that Scotland's entering this new dangerous period, as he calls it, where funding will be cut, which it will, simply because the spending in England will be cut, and therefore the Barnett formula means spending, or the Barnett formula monies, the consequentials will be lower. But that's the deal. And it goes to show, of course, that you've got zero chance of having an independent Scotland if they can't live even on the Barnett money. Because without that, nothing's coming in. So how are you going to fund Scotland? Nobody knows. So it's actually an argument for the union. But he's saying that this has been brought about by what he calls an unelected government ruling Scotland. You do know that Scotland threw out a load of SNP and installed a load of Labour. Honestly, the guy hasn't got a clue, has he? He's absolutely clueless as to any of this works. But it is still the same old thing. Blame the English. Blame Westminster. Blame Brexit. Blame COVID. It's aliens. Who knows? Let me know what you think of this man and his ideas. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Goodbye.